let's talk stocks. Wealth management firm Wealth NG has released a list of stock picks for Nigeria to kick off the week. There they are. The stock pick list, which is complete with potential upside forecasts in the green, with the percentages there, include a range of sectors from banking to industrials to telecommunications, food, and agribusiness. Joining us to discuss stock picks and religion and real estate, capital market analyst Muktar Mohammed joins us to discuss further. Muktar, you're very welcome. Good morning to you. I want to ask you about the pastor, but we'll get to him in a moment. I want to get your take on those stock picks. Well, first, the market was down 1.3% last week. What's your take on sentiment that we saw?
I think what we are seeing is not unusual. We'll see those sentiment continue to play out until the results in the second quarter. The market always needs a trigger, and once that trigger is not coming, it depends on individual investment perception of a particular equity. Seeing it as a good entering point or seeing it at a good exit point, exit and entries, that's just what play out in the market. But if you look at it, the volumes were not bad in terms of volume movement. And so what we see some investors doing now is doing value investment. When you talk about value investment, you'd see internet that are selling below their price. Then you want to get into the stock before they go higher than that, especially when the result start coming in. When you've looked at their first quarter result was good, then you begin to say, oh, these are value investments. So when we have the type of economy we have, with the type of situation we have, with the type of challenges, what investors are doing at the moment, when the stock market is neither bearish nor bullish, is to do value investments.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I think the first, actually, before I get to that, would you still maintain that there's bargain hunting deals?
A lot of them, a lot. Yeah. A lot of bargain hunting there.
Great. All right, so what do you make of the list? I think we'll start at the top left with Dangote Cement was the first, and also Lafarge WAPCO. And also, if you don't like those picks, maybe you have an alternative. So top left, we'll pick for our viewers. So starting at the top left, Dangote Cement, what do you make?
Good stock in terms of expansion drive. It's a conglomerate, and not just a conglomerate in Nigeria, it's now a conglomerate all over Africa, thinking of even exporting products through Algeria to European nations. So the potential of good earnings, good dividend payout, capital appreciation, very high. Nigeria, Africa itself, or even Nigeria especially, have decay in terms of infrastructure. Dangote has brought in a new leaf in terms of road construction now. We see them using cement to build our roads to make it last longer. So we see all this play in the bottom line. That also will apply, goes, what you think about Dangote goes for Lafarge, WAPCO too. Then, but in terms of outreach, you can't compare Lafarge to Dangote because Dangote seems to have a wider outreach within Nigeria and now spreading its link in Africa. But when you look at Lafarge, WAPCO, you see that their link are within the southwest. They don't have that link towards the northern part of Nigeria, and that's what also does with Boa Cement and others. Dangote's competitive advantage that he has over them in terms of the retail outlets that are scattered all over the nation.
Fantastic. All right, GTB. In fact, there was some. I want to get your take on that as a pick. I assume you like it, but also on trading that was halted on Friday.
Good news. Good news for any investor that have been on GTB. It's like when you say you are in a business or you diversify, just like we've been complaining, telling Nigerians to diversify their economy. Right. So GTB is diversifying. It's diversifying, going into other sectors because they see that there's been a lot of regulatory hindrance to their expansion if you want to stay with GTB Bank alone. So they are thinking of having expansion into other sectors, creates so much opportunity in the pay park sector, the pension sector, and also they might diversify into other sectors that would end up bringing a lot. And the good news for the investors is that what is in is that it's for every one GTB shares that you have another one GTB shares to complement you in the holding company structure. So if I have 100 GTB shares, so I now have 200 GTB shares. Unfortunately, if you're not part of it before now, you can't be part of it until the holding structure comes into play and those they are listed as GT holdings, then you can become part of it. So the benefit more are moved to those investors that are already part of it than to those investors that are not part of it. But the long-term future is still there for GTB in terms of when you look at what they're doing now, then in the terms of the expansion. But one thing I need in a sense of caution, we might not see those numbers, those expansion in the short term. We might see it in the long term. So the sense of caution, if you think you're going to GTB, thinking you're going to make a kill immediately, you need to think twice because it's going to be a long journey. Because when you talk about diversification don't just happen overnight. There will be a lot of rebranding stuff like that.
Fantastic. We've still got two more banks there, UBA and Zenith. I think we can take those together. How do you they're all tier one?
UBA is good. It's good in terms of its also expansion. Then in terms of the management of the bank, even if investors were not happy with them the last year because they seem to make more money last year than they make the subsequent years, and they paid more dividend the subsequent year that they paid last year. So investors was wondering, but UBA management came out and said that, look, we are doing this because we are thinking of the future, that investors will enjoy the future. In terms of its numbers, even its first quarter numbers look very good. Like I said, the only challenge investors have is investors are a little bit scared or skeptical about what will UBA do in the first quarter. They give interim dividend. So what we'll see will happen to UBA. If UBA is able to improve their interim dividend, because last year they gave 17 kobo instead of their usual 20 kobo, then it could be a sign of good things to come. For Zenith Bank, it seems to be the toast of investors in the banking sector. It's one bank that have always giving investors, especially in dividend pay or dividend yield, it has been one of the best in terms of capital appreciation. Also, it might not be as good as what you see in GTB and even in UBA and others, but in terms of dividend yield, they seems to be the best in the banking sector. In terms of liquidity, also, they seems to be the most liquid bank in the banking sector. So that stock is a stock where investors that are thinking of stock that will pay good dividend, and then in the long run, depending and wait for it for capital appreciation. Zenith Bank is still a toast of investors.
Fantastic. MTN Nigeria, that's also on the chart as well. What do you make of that?
MTN Nigeria is good. You know that the everybody's data, the new what they call it now is all about data.
Yes.
So and MTN seems to be building their brand.
New oil, is that what you were going to say?
The new oil now is data.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
The new oil now is not data.
Yeah.
So and MTN seems to be building their brands on that already. And also even the president key into it over the weekend that he was telling MTN to bring the cost of their data down because everybody seems to be going data now. So and I think they have the financial muscle, they have the leverage to do that. And they are one of the largest telecom company in Africa, even if Nigeria seems to be one of their strongest brand network in terms of financial gain. So I think it's a good stock. In the short term and in the long term, MTN will definitely do very well.
All right, I think we've also got Okomu and Presco. Those are also both agri-businesses. That's Presco there and Okomu at the bottom left. Presco is to the right of MTN for our viewers. Okomu at the bottom left. What do you make of those?
We are talking agriculture. Government is thinking diversification, goes to agriculture. If there's one bank one stock that I've enjoyed that leverage is Okomu Oil and Presco. They've really enjoyed it over the year. This was a stock that some 2 years ago was selling as low as 20-something naira to have gone that high because now they were able to do expansion. They have single digit in terms of loan because of the CBN intervention. And some of these funds comes directly from CBN rather from the commercial bank, which most of us have we are not happy about, but then it has helped shareholders in Okomu and Presco. That's why you see that they saw a lot of liquidity in that space, a lot of expansion. They seem to be doing very well, but we expect them to go further. Let's see if Okomu Oil will begin to export our palm oil outside the shore of this country. Then you see Presco also doing that. Then we could say that investors in that sector, because they need to diversify, because you can't continue to be doing the business the usual way you used to do and think investors will keep on, because they could be another small player that will come in there and do something better.
Fantastic. All right, so we've been positive on industrials, we've been positive on financials, we've been positive on agribusiness. I should have thrown flour mills in there, but what about food? Nestle. What do you make of
Nestle? Is one of the oldest stock in the bank.
It is.
It's the oldest stock in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and it has not done badly. And also you could say it's one of the most expensive stock in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, selling for 1,000. So it's a good stock. But if you go into Nestle, you realize that most of the investors that are in Nestle are the old-timers investors, those in their 60s, in their 70s. So they don't tend to sell. And so you continue to see that price goes up. They just tend to enjoy the dividend payout that comes from Nestle. Nestle also seems to be one of the highest dividend-paying stock in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. They pay their dividend as high as 40 naira per unit.
Wow.
So it's a good stock, but depends on what you want to do, what perception of investors, because there's what we call relative competitive analysis when it comes to, when I look at GTB, when I look at Zeneba, when I look at UBA, will I say the capital appreciation that I will get from Nestle will be better than what I will get in UBA and Zenith Bank. Then you come down to the numbers. You say, okay, it is selling for about 1,400 naira. Will it move from 1,400 naira to 2,400 naira in the shortest possible time? It will take a lot for that to happen. But will a UBA or a Zenith Bank move from 23 naira to 46 naira in the shortest possible time, or UBA move from 7 naira, 35 kobo to 14 naira in the short term? It seems that UBA will do better. So you do the complete analysis, then you think of volume that you get in UBA, then again the stock, then the advantage. So when you do all that, so it's not really a stock for what I call for new entrants, but it's a stock that those that are in there are enjoying most of the capital appreciation. But sometimes for the sake of, you want to enjoy capital appreciation, you have a lot of funds. Sometimes those are what the foreign investors used to play with when they used to come because of the brand itself. But unfortunately, we don't have the foreign investors coming in like they used to come in. And the institutional investors in Nigeria also, since the pension fund administrators, others seems to be ready to go to Nestle because of the dividend payout and also because of the relative stability that they have in that stock.
Fantastic. Just a minute ago, Flour Mills and Stanbic. What do you make of those two?
Flour Mill is good. Stanbic, I personally think that Stanbic, based on their dividend they pay out, comparable to other banks. If you compare Stanbic to GTB to Zenith Bank in terms of price, in terms of dividend, even if you say that Stanbic paid 4 naira, but the price at the time they paid 4 naira was about 56 naira, and the time that Zenith or GTB paid 3 naira 70 kobo, they were selling at 33 naira to 25 naira. So when you look at that, come back to what I call relative analysis. Right. And then I am not a toast of that, because when you look at the dividend yield, you look at a dividend yield of just maybe 3 point something percent or 4 point something percent compared to a dividend yield of 7 to 8%. Definitely I'll go for that.
Fantastic stuff. Muktar Mohammed, Capital Markets Analyst. I wanted to get your thoughts on the pasta, but we've run out of time. Maybe another time we'll talk about real estate over thighs. Muktar Mohammed, who is Capital Markets Analyst, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.